British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is in intensive care in a London hospital this morning. Mr Johnson was hospitalised yesterday for what was described at the time as routine tests after revealing last week that he'd contracted coronavirus.
But overnight his condition has deteriorated and Downing Street has revealed he's now being treated in an intensive care unit. We can take you now to live pictures outside St Guy's and St Thomas's Hospital in London, where the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is indeed in intensive care this morning. Not seeing much going on there, but it certainly will keep an eye on those for you. And we can take you now to Linton Besser, our Europe correspondent. Linton, good morning to you. And what do we know about the Prime Minister's condition?
Well, about 3 hours ago now, Madeline, he was transferred from the ordinary wing at St Thomas's there to the intensive care unit. The clearest indication yet that his condition is far worse than the British people had otherwise been led to believe. A statement from Downing Street a short time ago said that his conditions worsened over the afternoon, and on the advice of his doctors, he needed to go into that critical care unit. And critically, Madeline, he has now deputised the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, to take on some of the responsibilities of government, although it's not clear which ones. We know that Boris Johnson was conscious when he was transferred into intensive care, and there is some talk that he was moved over to that unit in order to have ready access to a ventilator should he need help with his breathing, which of course is the main reason that people are put in ICU suffering from coronavirus. Now, Dominic Raab, a short time ago, gave a brief statement to the press. Here's some of what he had to say.
The Prime Minister's condition worsened, and on the advice of the medical team, he was moved in to a critical care unit. So in light of those circumstances, the Prime Minister asked me as First Secretary to deputise for him where necessary in driving forward the government's plans to defeat coronavirus.
It's quite unclear, isn't it, Linton? I mean, because the British system does not have the automatic deputisation that we have here in this country. So Boris Johnson had to ask Dominic Raab to take over some of those roles. But as you say, we're not entirely sure which and if Boris Johnson is still in charge of some of those roles leading the coronavirus charge.
Yeah, that's right. And there were those uncertainties earlier today. Dominic Raab fronted the ordinary daily press briefing they do here on the virus update. And he was pressed a couple of times about not only Boris Johnson's condition, but whether he was really fit to be leading the government and indeed leading the United Kingdom at a time like this. Now, Dominic Raab would only kind of give motherhood statements that he had a comfortable night in hospital, that he was staying abreast of developments, that he was being briefed. At one point, a journalist asked, well, what about questions of national security? Is he still up to that? And Dominic Raab would only say no comment. So clearly, the government, I think, is reeling. And you probably heard there, Madeline, that Dominic Raab was a bit breathless during that statement. He's pretty pale. I think that the government is in a bit of chaos at this point. Boris Johnson, like him or loathe him, he was a powerful figure at this point in the Conservative Party in Britain. He'd just won a handsome majority. He had a very large personality and was renowned for wanting to take the big calls, which can often be the most intimidating thing about taking power is, accepting the responsibility of making decisions that affect many people's lives. Well, those kinds of decisions are on the table every day at the minute in Whitehall, in Westminster, just as they are in Canberra. And so now we're going to have to, work out over the next 24 hours exactly who is in charge. As you say, there's no clear protocol as there is in Australia and elsewhere.
And Linton, it's late at night there, and we know that you'll keep us across all of those developments as they come. Thank you very much for that.